Okay, so we're going to go back to uni life. At the time when this hippie was all going on and everything, yes, I was still working at the uni. I still went to work every day with a big smile on my face, and nobody really knew the trauma that was going on inside me, in which is something I hide from everybody all my life. Most people who look at me think that I've never had a care in the world. Oh, how sadly wrong they are. But my supervisor was getting quite, I don't know, conflicted. She always encouraged me earlier on, and she had really good relations with the students. But then all of a sudden she said, I don't want you to get so close to the students. It's, you've got to back away, because I was still going out with them here and there to different functions and things, but she really didn't like it for some reason. And we'd also had a couple of new people come into the office, admin people or assistants. I can't remember what their titles were really. And she came to me one day, took me off into a room by myself, and she said, I'd like you to consider going down to 2 days a week and let this other person come up. Now, this other person was married, so she had a husband that worked and supported her, and yes, she had a little girl, and I had nobody else. I had 3 mortgages I was paying, 2 rental properties and my property. But she said, you're financial enough, why don't you go down to 2 days a week? And I said, no, I'm not going to. I'm quite happy doing my 4 days a week. She said, well, just consider it. I said, no, I won't. She was just trying to push me out. So then as time went on, months went past, I could feel these real pushing resentment, you're not going anywhere kind of thing from this person. And I tried to ignore it. I just let it go. She ended up stopping me from sitting into the discipline meetings that would happen at 7 o'clock in the morning. And the coordinator meetings I was allowed to sit in on. But the discipline meetings, she said, no, there's no need for you to sit on these anymore. Because I got so much extra hours up all the time, and would have, she would have to give me an extra day off. But even on my days off, I always had my phone available for the doctors and for the students if they ever needed me. And countless times I would get phone calls from either one, and I would answer them, and I would hopefully always solve their problems. But she didn't like it. So after her stopping me from going into the discipline meetings in the morning, I didn't keep up to date with what was going on, because I'm better off to sit in the meeting and talk about, instead of reading a little bit here and there on the minute. So I had no idea. So I just allowed the disciplines to start and fall over, and things weren't running as smoothly as they should have, or as they used to do. So I just let it run. She just let it run. She didn't care, because she thought it was me that was falling over. Well, then, all of a sudden, not all of a sudden, then she was going on long service leave. And I kept thinking to myself, I've only got 12 months to go, just ignore it, just go to work, do your job, go home and forget it. I've only got 12 months to go before I go on long service. And I was going to take my long service at half pay. As she was preparing to go on long service, the university employed a completely outside person from the uni to do the 6 months relief work in there. Which was great. And she was a lovely lady, a great support to me. And as she was doing the handover with my supervisor, she realised, hey, this is not right. what this person is doing to this staff member. And she went to our manager and had a talk to our manager, and then our manager went to the head of school. And then the head of school and the manager came to me and said, you know, Loretta, what's going on? Why haven't you said anything? And I said, I was just trying to do my job the best I could. And they said, no, this is not right. If you can work your own hours now, you do not have to answer to her. If you come in and we want you to sit in the discipline meetings. You're supposed to be sitting in on them. Just come to work, you know what you need to do, and go home when you need to. You know what the job needs, which was great. While all this bullying was going on at work, yes, my self-esteem was a little bit low, but I was just trying to get by every day that I could and would just ignore her bullying. I would do what I was asked, I would do my job, and then I would go home and forget it. But while all this was going on, I ended up having to have an operation on my face to remove a large cancer down my nose. And within that, I had to have quite a severe amount of radiation done. Now, radiation really affects your brain. It affects a lot of things within your body, obviously. And my face burst out like a real mess. We were coming up to our work Christmas party, luncheon. And I didn't want to go out at all. And I'd said to my boss a few times that I, wanted to take some time off because of this. And she kept saying, no, don't be such a sook. Just come to work and do your job. There's no students here anyway. It doesn't matter what you look like. So I kept going to work. And then the day of our staff party, Christmas party, and she asked me if I was going, and I said, no, I'm not. She said, well, you just stay here then. Because I didn't feel like going out in public. My face was a mess. So I packed up. I actually had a doctor's appointment that day to check my face and that. And my GP said to me, Loretta, you're not still at work, are you? And I said, yeah, I am. And he said, no, this is not right. I said, well, my boss is baking me. He said, no. So he gave me a medical certificate. So with my medical certificate, he gave me the rest of the time that I needed to spend at work that year off, which was good because by Christmas time, my face was a real mess, and we were coming close to that period of time because I think we finished about the 23rd or something of December that year. I'm not real sure now. But anyway, she went on, eventually went on long service leave. I just continued on ignoring her. She went on long service leave. This new person came in. Life became really good at work again with this person. And then after my supervisor came back again with talking to my manager and the head of school, life got better at work. And I once again really enjoyed my job because I enjoyed the students, I enjoyed the work, I enjoyed the hospital and staff and the great things that came out of a really good working relationship. We ended up hitting COVID. COVID came into existence, and it was decided that as soon as we had one case of COVID within our area, that the head of school was going to lock me down at home and I'd have to work from home because I was the main person that kept everything turning within student placements and everything. COVID was a real challenge. I ended up having to take all the third year students off placement, and they then had to learn via just lectures and surgery procedures. The doctors in the university were absolutely fantastic to get those students through that 12-month period of COVID. All the fourth year students stayed on their placements because we had to get them through to graduate, even though they didn't actually have a graduation that year, which was pretty tough not seeing them graduate. Because if we didn't get the fourth years through, then we would have no interns throughout Queensland, Australia, in which puts on a ripple effect of not having enough doctors. We don't have enough doctors now, so it creates a real ripple effect for years before we catch up on that. So the fourth years had to stay. They also had learning disabilities, restrictions on what they could do and that, but we all got through it, which was great. So through COVID, I was tucked up at home. Yes, I had to get into the meetings every morning. They were all done by Zoom. The student tutes I used to sit in on here and there to make sure that, number one, the students were logged in, they were engaging. So once the tutes were finished, I would then stay online and talk to the students. I would talk to the students, be available for them at any time if they were struggling and because it was a very, which everybody knows, COVID was a very stressful time for the whole world, not just for us. And everybody had to get through it the best way we could. But I always made sure I was there for the students. And it was good to see their faces every morning. I'd have a meeting with them every morning of some kind, and then in the afternoon, and then I would sit in on their tutes and different things to make sure that they were all coping with it. After COVID, we're back in the office. I did work from home a little bit and then in the office a little bit for a while. And then the university offered staff members a voluntary redundancy. I didn't really want to take mine, but the pressure from my partner at the time, in which will be a whole different chapter, he put a lot of pressure on me to resign to take the redundancy. So I ended up taking the redundancy, and I finished work with the uni on the 30th of December 2020. After I'd finished work and I'd been retired now for 12 months, I got an email invite from the third year students who went through COVID, were now finished graduating as fourth years, and I got an invitation to attend their graduation and their graduation party, in which I was quite taken back by it. Because a lot of times when you're out of a position, especially for so long, that out of mind, out of sight. But the students wanted me to be there for their graduation, and when I went there, I said, look, I'm just overwhelmed by, you guys wanting me to be here. And I told them that, out of sight, and they said, oh, Loretta, we would never have got through COVID or graduated without you. We do not know how we could ever repay you. In which brought tears to my eyes. That was quite lovely. And I said to them, in which I've said to all my students when they leave and they say thank you, can't repay you for what you've done. The only thing I've ever asked them, I said, one day it may be me laying on that table in front of you, or it may be one of my family. Just remember how kind I was to you and treat me with respect. And that is all I ask for.